12,000 feet above the sea in the Andes lies Puma Punku, where stones fit so perfectly that a razor cannot slip between them.
These are the mysterious ruins of Puma Punku, nearly 13,000 feet in the Altiplano of Bolivia.
Who built this and how?
The highlands of Bolivia, Puma Punku. Some of these blocks are over 40 to 50 tons each. What can you tell us about this?
That question has haunted explorers for centuries. If you have ever wondered whether ancient civilizations knew secrets we have forgotten, you are not alone.
Archaeologists say that these civilizing heroes are just inventions of the ancients, elaborate fictions. But I find the similarities hard to ignore.
In this story, we will uncover mysteries that challenge history itself. Impossible cuts, vanished tools, and hidden knowledge carved in stone.
What if these accounts describe the survivors of an advanced civilization that was lost in the great cataclysms of flood and fire that we know occurred near the end of the last ice age?
Having spent years meticulously researching ancient anomalies, we will guide you through the evidence. Let's dive in. The deeper we look, the stranger it becomes. The silent stones of Puma Punku. On the high plateau of the Bolivian Andes, more than 12,000 feet above sea level, rests a site that seems to defy the very idea of history.
It was such a high-tech kind of construction that it boggled everyone's mind.
Puma Punku, the door of the Puma, lies scattered in ruins, yet even in its broken state, it carries a presence unlike any other. Visitors who stand among the fallen blocks often describe a feeling of awe, even unease. The silence there feels heavy, as if the stones themselves are holding back secrets. The blocks are not small. Some weigh over 100 tons, cut from andesite and red sandstone. These were not carried from nearby fields, but quarried miles away, dragged somehow across rough ground to this lonely plateau. Even before you consider how they were shaped, the act of moving them seems nearly impossible. Yet they are here, massive and unmoving, as though placed by a hand that did not tire. Look closer, and the mystery deepens. The blocks are carved with precision that astonishes engineers today.
One of the amazing things here at Puma Punku is the precision of the blocks. You can see with this block of granite that it's really been cut.
Their surfaces are flat, their edges sharp, their corners clean. Some have been shaped into H forms, with grooves and notches that allow them to interlock like pieces of a great puzzle.
So you actually went to Puma Punku to measure the H blocks. What was your conclusion? What did you find?
There is no mortar, no glue, nothing to bind them except the perfection of their fit. Slide a razor blade into the joint, and it will not pass.
It seems as though some kind of factory was set up there to make these almost exactly the same. It's almost like a Lego system of interconnecting blocks.
The Inca, who discovered Puma Punku centuries before the Spanish arrived, claimed they had not built it.
The population living there are called the Aymara, and the Aymara themselves say that they had no involvement in building Puma Punku.
To them, the site was already ancient, the work of gods or giants. When European explorers asked about its origins, the answers were vague. Stories passed down through memory, but not through record. Modern archaeology has dated the ruins to around 500 AD, linking them to the Tiwanaku culture. But not all were convinced. In the early 20th century, Austrian scholar Arthur Posnanski spent decades studying the ruins. He believed Puma Punku was far older than anyone dared to admit. He observed how the structure seemed aligned with the rising sun, yet the alignments did not match the present sky. Only when he calculated the position of the sun thousands of years ago did the puzzle make sense. His conclusion was shocking. Puma Punku could date back as far as 15,000 to 17,000 years. If true, that would rewrite history.
Arthur Poznansky was a researcher as part Bolivian, and he had worked at the site for many decades. And he concluded that the site must have been built about 17,000 years ago by studying the archaeoastronomy of that particular site.
Humanity, according to our textbooks, was still hunting and gathering at that time, with no cities, no monuments, no architecture of such scale. And yet, here on this windswept plateau, stand stones carved with accuracy we would struggle to reproduce today. The question of Puma Punku is not just when it was built, but how. The tools of the known past, chisels of copper, hammers of stone, could not have cut and drilled the blocks of andesite with such flawless results. Perfect circles, clean angles, and symmetrical shapes suggest a technology far beyond what is recorded. The site remains unsolved, a riddle carved in stone. Its silence is not emptiness. It is a challenge, daring us to ask again, who built this and how? Echoes from Egypt, the unfinished obelisk. Far away from the Andes, in the heat of southern Egypt, lies another unanswered riddle. In the quarries of Aswan rests a giant, a monument that was never finished. It is called the unfinished obelisk.
Obelisks were huge stone structures. They were monoliths found all over Egypt. They were absolutely incredible.
Even in its incomplete state, it dwarfs every other obelisk ever made. If raised, it would have stood over 40 meters tall and weighed more than 1,000 tons, twice the size of anything the Egyptians managed to complete. The stone is pink granite, one of the hardest rocks on Earth. Bronze chisels and dolerite pounders were the known tools of the ancient Egyptians. Yet against granite, these tools wear down faster than the stone itself. Imagine striking again and again, only to watch your tool crumble before the rock gives way. And still, the obelisk shows clear marks, not of blunt force, but of long, smooth grooves. They run like tracks, almost as if a machine had ground its way through the stone. The site raises a question that feels larger than the obelisk itself. How could builders thousands of years ago carve such a massive object with tools so far beneath the task? Even more puzzling is the setting. The obelisk lies in a trench. There is no space for wide swings of hammers or heavy pounding. Whatever cut this stone worked in tight, impossible quarters. Modern experts look at the grooves and shake their heads. Some say they resemble the marks of industrial drills or grinders. Others point to similarities found in ruins half a world away in Peru. It is as if echoes of the same technique appear across continents, though the cultures never met. The unfinished obelisk was abandoned, left to rest in the quarry. A crack doomed it, making it unusable. But in its broken state, it may hold something even greater than glory, a clue. It allows us to see the process left behind, to glimpse at methods we do not yet understand. Like Puma Punku, the obelisk does not answer directly. It only deepens the mystery.
Now first, like always, be sure to hit the like button down below. It helps us out tremendously with the reach of this video. Thank you.
The boxes of Saqqara and the impossible craft. In the desert outside modern Cairo lies a place few ever see. Beneath the sand, hidden in long tunnels, rests the Serapeum of Saqqara. It is a tomb complex unlike any other. Inside are enormous stone boxes, carved from granite and basalt. Each one is bigger than a small room, weighing many tons. They were dragged deep into these narrow chambers, placed with care and sealed away. At first glance, they look simple, giant coffins cut from stone. But look closer, and the mystery grows. The walls of these boxes are not rough or uneven. They are polished smooth, shining like mirrors in the dim light. The corners are perfectly square. The lids, some weighing dozens of tons on their own, fit with almost no gap at all. Archaeologists believe these boxes once held sacred bulls, worshipped in ancient Egypt as symbols of strength and fertility. But the question is not only what they held, the deeper question is how they were made. Granite is unforgiving. To shape it requires strength, time, and the hardest of tools. Even today, stoneworkers use diamond-tipped saws, cooled with streams of water, to achieve such precision. The ancient Egyptians, we are told, had only copper chisels and stone pounders. How could such tools have carved boxes with walls straight as rulers and surfaces smooth as glass? Some engineers who studied the Serapeum say the cuts appear too sharp, too exact, to have come from hand tools. They resemble the work of machines that can apply steady pressure, slicing through stone with controlled force. It is not just the accuracy that unsettles, it is the scale. To move a single box through the tight corridors would challenge modern cranes and trucks. Yet somehow, thousands of years ago, people lowered them into the underground chambers with methods still unknown. The Serapeum leaves us with an unsettling choice. Either the ancient Egyptians had techniques we no longer understand, or the story of human history is far stranger than we have been told. The heat of the sun, Machu Picchu, and laser theories. High in the Peruvian Andes, the stones of Machu Picchu rise like a riddle against the clouds. The walls of this city are built with blocks so precisely cut that they slide into place without mortar. Some are shaped in odd, interlocking patterns, designed to survive earthquakes that still shake the region. To the eye, it seems a miracle of patience and strength. But under a microscope, another secret appears. In the 1980s, researchers studied the surface of the stones at Machu Picchu. They expected to find rough breaks, the kind left behind by hammers or chisels. Instead, they saw something different. The mineral grains were fused, as though melted together by intense heat. It was as if fire, not tools, had shaped the stone. Later experiments showed how this could happen. A beam of concentrated light, like a laser, can slice through granite when focused on a narrow spot. As the beam moves back and forth, the stone splits cleanly, leaving behind a surface that glitters as though polished. Scientists called this process thermal disaggregation. The idea that the Inca used lasers may sound impossible, yet the evidence suggests something burned hotter than fire, strong enough to melt rock. Legends tell of golden mirrors, used in rituals to harness the sun. At festivals, priests focus sunlight onto cotton, setting it aflame. What if larger, more powerful reflectors once existed, not just to light fires, but to cut stone? Some historians dismiss the thought. Others note the coincidence: a sun-worshipping culture, living under bright skies all year, building walls of impossible precision. Perhaps they learned to use the very star they prayed to as a tool. Machu Picchu stones do not reveal their methods, but the smooth, glassy edges whisper of heat more intense than torches or simple flame. They suggest a kind of knowledge that does not fit neatly within the timelines of textbooks. The Naslaa rock and global parallels. Far from the Andes or the Nile, deep in the Arabian desert, stands a rock that seems almost unreal. In the Tema oasis of Saudi Arabia, a massive boulder balances on two small pedestals. But what captures the eye is not its balance, but the cut that runs down its middle. The split is flawless, running straight through the stone, as if made with a blade. Each side mirrors the other, smooth and even. It does not look like the result of erosion, nor of simple fracture. To some, it resembles the slice of a machine, a mark of precision unknown in nature. Geologists offer explanations: natural stresses, shifts in the earth, perhaps ice expanding in a hidden crack. Yet none of these theories fully account for the clean edge, sharper than what wind and water normally leave behind. To many who visit, it looks engineered. What makes the Naslaa rock even more puzzling is its echo of mysteries elsewhere. The clean split recalls the sharp cuts at Puma Punku. It calls to mind the glassy surfaces of Machu Picchu and the grooves of the obelisk at Aswan. Cultures separated by oceans and centuries seem to share the same signature in stone. Was it a coincidence, or could there have been a shared knowledge passed in ways now lost? Across these lands, people worshipped the sun, honored the gods of creation, and left behind works that seem beyond their tools. The Naslaa rock stands as a quiet reminder. The puzzle is not only about where advanced methods appear, but why they appear in so many places at once. The gold mirrors and the fire of the sun. The Inca people worshipped Inti, the sun god, with deep devotion. Each year, they held a festival in his honor. Priests wore golden ornaments that caught the light of the sun and turned it into fire. Chronicles tell us of a ritual where a concave gold disc focused sunlight onto cotton, causing it to ignite. To outsiders, it seemed like magic, but to the Inca, it was divine power. Now imagine this practice on a larger scale. What if the mirrors were not the size of a pendant, but the size of a shield, or even larger? Spanish accounts describe golden discs decorating temples, some taller than a man. Conquistadors melted them down, blind to any purpose beyond treasure. But what if those discs once served another role? Not as decoration, but as tools. A golden mirror can reflect light. Shaped properly, it can concentrate that light into heat strong enough to burn, cut, or even melt stone. The sun in the Andes is relentless, its rays sharp and constant. Harnessed by skilled hands, it could become more than worship. It could become technology. The idea may sound like a legend, yet history shows how simple materials, shaped with insight, can perform wonders. With mirrors, the Inca could have drawn fire from the sky itself. Perhaps this explains the smooth edges found on their stones, the marks of heat more intense than flames. Whether ritual or engineering, the golden mirrors connect faith and craft. They remind us that what is sacred and what is practical may not always be separate, and they leave us wondering if some of the greatest tools of the past were lost not by time, but by conquest. The whisper of sound, the forgotten tuning forks. Stories tell of a locked room in Egypt, tucked away in a quiet corner of a museum storehouse. Inside, shelves were said to be filled with strange metal objects, hundreds of them, shaped like giant tuning forks. Some were small, no longer than a hand. Others stretched taller than a person. Each ended in a U shape, with a wire strung tightly across the open prongs. When struck or plucked, the wire would hum. If true, the discovery makes little sense. Tuning forks, as we know them, were only invented in the 18th century. What would such objects be doing among relics thousands of years old? And why so many of them, in all sizes, as if designed for different tasks? Ancient Egyptian art often shows gods and kings holding staffs topped with a strange forked shape, called the Waz scepter. Scholars usually describe it as a symbol of power, but what if it was not just a symbol? What if it represented a tool? Modern science shows that sound can do remarkable things. Vibrations can cut, drill, or even levitate objects when tuned to the right frequency. A fork that focuses sound could act like a chisel made of vibration. It would not matter if it were made of copper or bronze. The power would not come from its hardness, but from the resonance it carried. Some believe this could explain the clean cuts in granite that ordinary tools could not achieve. Instead of brute force, builders may have used invisible waves, guided by skill and patience. Whether myth or hidden truth, the thought lingers. The ancients may have shaped stone not only with their hands, but with sound itself. Modern echoes, NASA, and the sound beam. In recent years, science has begun to rediscover what sound can do. At the start of the new millennium, NASA worked on a tool meant for future space missions. It was called the ultrasonic/sonic driller/corer. Unlike a normal drill, it did not rely on sharp bits tearing through material. Instead, it used vibration. High-frequency sound waves shook the tip, letting it hammer into rock with surprising ease. With little force, it could pierce tough surfaces that ordinary drills struggled against. At the University of Michigan, another step was taken. Scientists focused sound waves far beyond the range of human hearing, 10,000 times higher than what our ears can detect. Concentrated into a narrow beam, the waves acted like an invisible blade. They called it a sound laser. It could slice with precision, not with light, but with vibration alone. These modern experiments echo the whispers from the past. A tool that drills with sound feels eerily close to the idea of ancient forks cutting stone through resonance. A beam of vibration sharp enough to slice recalls the legends of staffs of power. The difference is only in time. What modern researchers achieve in labs with machines and computers might have been achieved long ago with methods we no longer understand. Perhaps the ancients did not lack knowledge. Perhaps they used a kind of science that has slipped through our memory. The link between these modern inventions and ancient mysteries cannot be proven, yet the parallels remain unsettling. As if history itself is repeating, and we are only now catching up to something once known, then forgotten. A forgotten science of stone and light. When we look across the world, from the Andes to Egypt, from Arabia to Peru, the same patterns appear. Stones shaped with impossible accuracy, surfaces smooth as glass, blocks joined so tightly that even air cannot pass between them. These are not isolated wonders. They seem connected, as if guided by a hidden thread of knowledge. Perhaps it was the sun, focused through polished mirrors to burn hotter than fire. Perhaps it was sound, harnessed in ways that turned vibration into a tool. Or perhaps it was something else, a union of forces we only dimly understand today. Light and resonance, heat and rhythm, all woven together into a forgotten craft. If this is true, then history as we know it tells only part of the story. We think of progress as a straight line, from primitive to modern, from simple tools to machines. But the stones whisper another possibility. Knowledge may rise, vanish, and return in cycles. What was once mastered can be lost, leaving only ruins as testimony. The question is not only how the ancients built, but why the methods disappeared. Were they destroyed by conquest, by disaster, or by the slow erosion of memory? The answer may never be certain. Yet the evidence remains carved in granite and diorite, written not in words, but in precision. These works remind us that human beings, long before our modern age, may have touched powers we are only beginning to rediscover. The forgotten science of stone and light is not only about the past, it is also about us, about what we still do not know, and what may one day return. The stones remain silent and unyielding, long after their builders have vanished. Puma Punku, Machu Picchu, the quarries of Aswan, the deserts of Arabia, each holds a fragment of a story we cannot fully read. Perhaps the knowledge is gone, or perhaps it waits, hidden in plain sight for us to recognize. History is not only written in books, it is carved in granite, sung in vibration, and reflected in light. And so the question lingers, were the ancients simply primitive, or are we the ones who have forgotten? The stones still whisper. Do we dare to listen?